So welcome back everyone, and let's resume the Signing for Good sessions. Next speaker is Trevin Flickinger. Trevin is a data analyst at the Coalition on Homelessness and Housing in Ohio. And let's join Trevin as he shares insight into streamlining data management for homelessness solutions using R and Signing. Trevin, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Trevin, and today we'll be talking about streamlining data management for homelessness Shiny apps. So a bit of a background. COHIO, the Coalition on Homelessness and Housing, is a small nonprofit based in Columbus, Ohio, and we're a coalition of organizations and individuals committed to ending homelessness and to promoting decent, safe, fair, affordable housing for all, with a focus on assisting low-income and special needs populations. Our organization has a wide reach across the state of Ohio, and as you can see here, we have a lot of areas of focus in our work. My particular focus is within the Homeless Management Information System, or HMIS, and you'll see some of the youth housing initiative work in the next presentation after mine as well. So what is HMIS? Homeless Management Information System is used to standardize data across all systems in the United States, and especially to reduce client duplication. There are like thousands of projects across the country that enter homeless data. So you can imagine what this process might have looked like before standardization. So with better data, we are now able to get a better understanding of the scope of homelessness and better equipped to fight it. So today we're going to cover COHIO's HMIS reporting journey, how we got to where we are today, and cover some of the tools and techniques along the way. Years ago, before we implemented R or Shiny, a lot of the reporting was done in spreadsheets and running ad hoc reports. We cover 80 of Ohio's 88 counties with 970 projects. So this can get very burdensome very quickly, especially with how many reports we're running and that are required to be ran every year as well. So we wanted a solution for this. So that's where the next phase of reporting comes in. I don't think I need to convince a room full of Shiny developers how great Shiny and R is. But our former data analyst, Janelle Denzen, realized the potential it had, and at the time convinced her boss that it was something that was worth implementing. So here's a screenshot of one of our apps today. It's called R-Miner Elevated. Unfortunately, I can't share this specific app since it requires training and a login as well. But you can see from the sidebar how many of the reports we were able to get out of that manual process and spreadsheets and into a Shiny report. We have a similar app called R-Miner that is public facing, and that's geared towards program executives, funders, advocates, and other interested parties. So while you can't view R-Miner Elevated, you will get a chance to see R-Miner. So it took a while to get to this point, and for the rest of the talk, I'll walk you through how we got here and how we look to enhance it going forward. So I'm not sure about you, but one of the reasons that makes Shiny so cool is that it's really easy to get started. You don't need web development experience. You only need to know R, and now you can know Python as well. There's a lot of awesome examples out there for inspiration as well. So you can see lots of Shiny examples and get inspired to utilize that in your own work. So you get inspired, you get fired up, and you want to create your own our Shiny app or Python app, and you open our studio. You create an app. You have a UI file and a server file, and you add line after line of code until you get hundreds, maybe even thousands of lines of code. This can get burdensome very quickly, but luckily there's a better way. I know at least one presenter mentioned this earlier this morning in the Shiny for Good tracks, but modules are your friend. To handle the complexity of a growing Shiny app, highly recommend it. You can take what's a monolith of code and break it up into several different modules. This has a couple advantages. You can write and test each module individually, and you can also reuse modules across the app. If you haven't already, go and check out Emily Reeder's talk from last year on why modules matter for new Shiny developers. I'm sure many of you are familiar, but Git is also your friend and a vital tool. It not only makes it easier to collaborate with others, we've had a few collaborators within our apps, but it's also being kind to your future self as well. It may be a little intimidating at first, especially if you're new to it, but teachers like Jenny Bryan make it a lot more manageable. Sticking with the reproducibility theme, another tool we found useful is the Renv package. It creates a reproducible environment by taking a snapshot of your packages, and it makes collaboration easier knowing that you're working in the same environment. So as we continue down the HMIS data journey, we're going to start to explore tools outside of our studio. And so that's kind of where I noted the difference between Shiny and some of the advanced Shiny methods. This is a simple diagram of our setup for updating the data in our Shiny apps. We get our data from standardized HUD CSV files, as well as data from Looker. And then we have an R script that wrangles the data and then feeds it into our Shiny apps to update it. So the HUD CSV files are updated every day. So the script is run daily as well. Here's a page from our software provider where we can log in, manually update the HUD CSV reports and download it to get a new set of reports. But that can be a pain to do every day, and it takes time to do that. We did improve this a little bit, so we no longer have to go in and manually update it and wait for it to download. So working with our HMIS software provider, we set up an AWS S3 bucket where instead they just drop it in there for us, and now it's just a few lines of R code to download that data and run the script with the new data. So the HUD CSV files are better. What about the rest of the process? So I'm not sure how many of you are in nonprofits, but it can often feel like this trying to get work done, especially if you're the only R developer. One day, very recently, the code for updating our data was no longer working. And it was specifically tied to the custom looks and getting that data. It took several days of testing and rewriting code, but we eventually got it up and running again. So just a word of caution and a word of advice. If a package you're using is unofficially supported, just be cautious when utilizing it in a production environment. So I was able to rework the R API for at least our use case and get the data back up and running. But this is definitely a longer term goal to switch to something that will be more robust. We're looking at instead using something that is supported, like the Python Looker API. So another part of this pipeline that is currently in development is enhancing the data wrangling piece. Right now, it's still something that is somewhat of a manual process. We were able to make the HUD CSV process better, but we still have to go in and run the R script every day and deploy the Shiny apps. And so that's where the next tool comes in. Enter Docker. Some of you may be familiar already, but the very, very simplified introduction that isn't exactly correct is that Docker is like a virtual machine without the user interface. Here is an example of a Docker file. You can put any code inside of it and it will run it. You can host it somewhere like Amazon Web Services, and now you have fully automated code. At least that works in theory, and that's really great if your code works. But sometimes you run into issues like not being able to run it because you have an M1 chip on your Mac. So you get some errors that pop up while trying to run it. Sometimes your R packages will fail to install. I had quite a few issues with one in particular where it would keep trying to install and I would get error messages. So there's a lot of Googling involved. So fortunately, I was able to solve those particular issues, but I've also had issues with now getting my code to run, and now I'm running into memory limits within Docker. So a lot of errors and a lot of Googling. Let's just check in with how I'm feeling. Yeah, a lot of that lately. So I didn't imagine when I first started out with learning R that I would end up where I'm at today. These tools, Dockerfile, AWS, Python, they're not mandatory, but they can definitely enhance your Shiny experience. And I do encourage you to check those out if that's something that's applicable to your case. And whether you're just starting out or you're an experienced programmer, I encourage you to find a community of support, especially if you're a lone developer, where you work, or maybe you're a student. I promise John didn't pay me to include this, but the data science learning community has been really invaluable to me, and it's somewhere you can go for help for all things R, Python, DevOps, and more. So I want to end here and go back to an important detail in this journey. It all started with the decision to use R and Shiny for reporting purposes. And I'm sure a lot of you already utilize Shiny in your work. But if you're not there yet, I encourage you to advocate it. It really makes a difference, and you'd be surprised at its impact. Not only did it lead to Kohio's HMIS apps, but the data analyst that first built the app has gone on to create a Shiny app for HUD, where it's utilized across the country. and Kohio also developed a great partnership with Catchbrook Analytics, who's the next presenter, who built a wonderful app for our youth housing initiative. So before we get to Michael and Ivan's presentation that's coming up next, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you to ShinyConf. Here are the links to Kohio's GitHub and the link to our public-facing R Miner app as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Trevin. A lot of participants definitely relate to the content you shared with us. And Mikhail from the chat asks, beyond Shiny modules, would you consider implementing your apps with frameworks such as Golem or Rhino?
Yeah, so we implement modules in our apps, and we utilize the Golem framework. I feel like that's been super useful to have it as a package. There's some great shortcuts and tools within RStudio that help you as well. Within the Golem framework, I believe engineering production Shiny apps in R is a great resource for learning more about that.
Great. And how was the experience with the M1 processor with Mac? I mean, do you recommend any kind of solutions that we can use to run Docker in an easier way in a MacBook with an M1 chip?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think as time has gone on, since the M1 chips have been available and more widely used, that developers have found solutions for that. So it may not be as big of an issue now, but Google is definitely your friend.
Thank you. Thank you, Trevin, for the great presentation. And you can continue the chat and communication with Trevin in Slack and in the chat rooms of the conference. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.